Roger Stone, known to be a political dirty trickster, he calls this report a joke. The Republican strategist joins us live. Roger, great to have you with us.
Shannon, thanks for having me. You know, one of my rules, the only thing worse than in politics than being talked about is not being talked about. But at the same time, I remember Abraham Lincoln's story about the man who was being ridden out of town after being tarred and feathered on a rail. They asked him what he thought about it, and he said, well, but for the honor of it, I'd rather walk. This is a mainstream media mugging. Let's give you a quick etymology, if I may. The Washington Post first unearthed this story. Sam Nunberg, a very neurotic personality. When I worked with him for Donald Trump, he would sometimes call you 30 or 40 times a day. Often I would let his calls roll over to voice message and not talk to him because usually it was just kind of, what do you know, what do you hear? I'm a busy man. Sam called late one Friday. I was trying to get him off the phone. He asked me what I was doing for the weekend. I said I thought I would fly to London, have dinner with Julian Assange. The Washington Post, by the way, misquotes me on that. Sam evidently believed this were true, and I would later milk the joke in an email, to which Sam responds when I said, Sam, pardon me, sent me an email showing Donald Trump trailing Hillary by 15, kind of sticking it in my face, because after Sam was fired, he was very anti-Trump. I remain a strong supporter of the president and will continue to do so. So this is the continuation of the same joke. The important thing here, I think, is to understand that my passport, airlines records, customs records, the surveillance cameras at the Ecuadorian embassy, where Assange has to be one of the most watched people in the world, would all demonstrate this meeting didn't really happen. And then I offered the Wall Street Journal, who, by the way, misquoted the email, an opportunity to see my passport, and they declined. I also produced airplane tickets and credit card receipts. It shows that I was in California in this period.
Okay,
so the answer is no, the meeting did not happen. What I find kind of amusing here is that I discussed this on InfoWars with Alex Jones on August 4th. CNN says that's a revelation because prior to that in their timeline, I had never pointed out that these revelations were allegedly, quote unquote, devastating.
Okay.
They said go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about some other, because I know that you've provided boarding passes, credit cards, receipts, all those kinds of things. Now, you have said, though, August 8th, after this email exchange in 2016, you did say in a public speech, and I'll read a little bit of it, you said this: you were asked about an October surprise in Julian Assange. You said this: well, it could be any number of things. I actually have communicated with Assange. I believe the next tranche of his documents pertain to the Clinton Foundation, but there's no telling what the October surprise may be. Tell us what you meant there, what kind of communications you have or haven't had with Julian Assange, and why did you say it if it didn't happen?
Well, first of all, I testified about all of this under oath for 4.5 hours before the House Intelligence Committee. I asked that testimony be made public. They insist that they will not release it. So I answered all of these questions. I clarified that I used a confirming source, a journalist who was in touch with Assange. He was communicating with Assange or Assange's attorneys.
So a middleman.
And had assured me, a middleman. You can call him a back channel. You can call him an intermediary. You can call him a confirming source. I named him for the committee. I was hesitant to do so because I feared that he would be subject to professional reprisal. Indeed, when his name surfaced, he was fired from the progressive radio show where he worked. But more importantly, by claiming that August 4th was a day in which I predicted that these emails would be devastating, I refer very specifically to a message I got from Charles Ortel, who's appeared here many times on Fox, who is someone I respect enormously as an expert on the Clinton Foundation, forwarding me information from James Rosen, one of the reporters that I respect most in terms of his meticulous methodology and his investigative reporting and coverage for Fox, predicting that these documents would be about the Clinton Foundation, which I also posited in my speech to the Southeastern Republicans.
Well, and you know, people
I think
have
that explains those two things, but that does not mean that I learned them from Julian Assange. I have never met with, spoken with, Skyped with, FaceTimed with, or emailed Julian Assange. The exchange that I did have with WikiLeaks was supplied to the House Intelligence Committee.
And we've seen that.
Was leaked by the committee. It's exculpatory. It shows that we weren't collaborating.
All right.
Only in this atmosphere can you get a leak like that where your critics say, aha, we've got him now.
Well, you know what? We could spend an hour talking to you about this because there's so many other things about your predictions with regard to the Podesta emails and all kinds of things. We know you've testified about this. We'll continue to follow the story. But thank you for answering our questions with regard to that dinner that didn't apparently happen. Thank you, sir.
Well, and thank you very much, Shannon. Great to be with you.